let's get to an India Today mega exclusive now. India Today's Geeta Mohan spoke to European Commission Vice President Kaja Kallas. Here's that exclusive conversation on the EU trade deal and much more.
It's being called mother of all the deals. The India-EU Free Trade Agreement has been successfully concluded, but what happens next? To discuss this and more, I'm being joined in this India Today Global Exclusive. I'm being joined by Kaja Kallas, who is the High Representative for Foreign and Security Policy, as also Vice President of the European Commission. Let's begin with, when will the tariffs or the trade deal be implemented?
Well, of course, it takes a bit of time because we are both democracies, and in democracies, there are procedures also that these deals need to go through. But we still hope that it goes fast because it's beneficial for both parties.
Okay, but a lot of them are talking about the timing. After a lot of strain in ties between India and the European Union, we're now seeing a big breakthrough. Is the weaponization of tariffs by Trump the reason why we saw a faster pace with which the deal has been concluded?
Well, the geopolitical landscape definitely helps with this. It is clear that we have had our, big partners before, but now the landscape is such that we need to build partnerships with those countries, those partners who believe in free trade, and definitely diversifying our trade portfolio on your side as well as our side is our mutual interest.
Interestingly, the president herself announced it at Davos, and there was a sharp reaction from the United States of America. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, has already said that Europe is funding indirectly the Russia-Ukraine war. Your comments?
Well, of course, countries like America don't like if we are also diversifying our trade portfolios. That's very clear. But again, we are focusing on the positive side. What more can we do in terms of trade in different areas? Of course, it's in our interest that this war in Ukraine stops, and therefore we have put sanctions on Russian shadow fleet, on different types, so that this war will end. And this doesn't change. I mean, we also had these discussions with the Indian counterparts, because it's in our mutual interest that this war will stop.
Well, talking about reliable partners and reliability, you once said that Russia is not reliable. One cannot trust Russia. But then can you trust your all-time friend, or one's all-time friend, America? Greenland is an example. What happens next? Whether it's Greenland and the conversations NATO chief had with Trump, is EU in on that? What's the deal here?
Well, the geopolitical landscape is definitely complicated. I think, the discussions that we had over Greenland were not doing any favors to transatlantic ties. I can tell you that that is very, very clear. But now we are focusing on issues where we can build partnerships outside with different countries, also with America, to develop the ties further where we see eye to eye.
Is Europe more vulnerable than ever before, whether it's the eastern flank with Russia or, for that matter, now including America?
I think no, because actually we were vulnerable before when we didn't really realize that we have dependencies on countries like Russia when it comes to energy, on different countries, also China when it comes to technology. Now we have definitely understood where we are and understood our vulnerabilities, and therefore we are making the efforts to overcome these vulnerabilities, to invest more in our defense, to get rid of the Russian gas and oil, diversify our trade portfolios, but also build our defense and security partnerships with countries like India.
Ms. Kallas, the European Union acknowledged terrorism, Pahalgam terror attack, the Red Fort terror incident, but is there also an acknowledgement that for India this concern is deep-rooted and is cross-border?
We had discussions on fighting terrorism, and that this is something that we both share, that this is a global concern and we need to address this globally together with our partners.
And there are many concerns that now are challenging the world, particularly when it comes to conflicts. There has been massive outrage when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine war. We see much less of it from the European world when it comes to Israel-Palestine.
This is not true. I don't know why this information is circulating, but if you look at who is the biggest donor for the Palestinians, it is Europe. We have, contributed in humanitarian aid. We have been the biggest supporters of two-state solution. We are also the biggest supporters of Palestinian Authority to really insist that the Palestinians have a say on their territory. Right now, we are working in this Gaza Peace Plan to also provide help when it comes to training Palestinian police, because eventually it has to be Palestinian police who disarms Hamas and takes control over the territory. So we have been very much involved in ending this war and also ending this humanitarian catastrophe.
And being part of the Board of Peace?
Well, the Board of Peace eventually in the United Nations Security Council resolution was meant to be for Gaza and was meant to be limited in time until 2027. Also really showing the role for the Palestinians in it. Now, the charter for the Board of Peace, what we see right now, is much broader than that. What we want to see is to be limited to Gaza, like the United Nations Security Council resolution, and then, of course, we are willing to work with all the institutions. Board of Peace, the International Stabilization Force, all these things to make peace in Middle East sustainable.
My final question to you, and I circle back to President Trump. Has he brought in a lot of volatility and unpredictability, and how is the European Union going to counter or tackle that?
Unpredictability is clearly the word of the day. I think for the last year, what we have learned is that we have to expect a lot of unpredictability. But to counter that word, actually, for us, the European Union is predictability. That has been our weakness. I mean, we have often been the boring and very predictable, stable partner, but if I go around the world, this is actually becoming our strength. Countries like India, like other countries are looking at us because we are the stable partner. If we come to agreement, it may take time, that's true, but when we come to agreement, we stick to those agreements and keep our promises.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today Global. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.